hear me okay without the microphone? Okay. All right. So first off, thank you for coming tonight. Hopefully the weather holds out for us for the rest of the evening. I haven't seen the weather, but I think we're clear. Everything passed. Excellent. Excellent. My name is Joe Cook. I'm the proud superintendent of the Mukwonago schools. This is Tom Cardhauser. He's our director of business services. And tonight we'll take you through our presentation, informational presentation on the referendum coming up on April 2nd. So we'll go through, we have some slides to go through. When we're done with the slideshow, we'll have an opportunity for questions if you have them. And then Mr. Luke Spielman is here to do building tours for anybody who wishes to have a tour. If we do have a lot of questions, and sometimes people don't want to sit around for the Q&A portion, Luke will be able to break off of the group if they want to go have a tour instead of sit through the Q&A. But Tom and I will be here for the evening to answer whatever questions you may have. So, April 2nd, community information meeting. We have the referendum coming up. We do have some materials over here on the side. I think I see some people with a question document. If you have a question that you don't wish to ask in front of the whole group, we have the ability for you to write that down. We can pass those around. We do have some information on referendum, triad, our information on our school system. And then we do have a sign-up sheet if you wish to get emails on this project. Please put your name and email address on that sheet. We'll be happy to include you in any emails that we send out. So, we as a school district are doing an excellent job right now. We're very proud of where we are at. We're in the top 10% of school districts, of our K-12 school districts in the state. There's currently 367 K-12 schools. We rank in the top 10% of that. We're 24th in the area, or in the state in student achievement, 9th for on-track and post-secondary readiness, and we're in the top 25 for both math and English language arts achievement. So academically, our teachers, our students, our parents, we're coming together and we're doing an excellent job in the academic program. On the forward exam, 64% of our students, grades 3 through 8, meet proficiency in ELA. It's our best performance ever. And our 65.4% of our third grade students are meeting proficiency on the forward exam. This is the highest score in Waukesha County. Of all the K-12 schools in Waukesha County, we are the highest performing at that third grade benchmark. And for those that have paid attention to what the state is doing and the importance that they're putting on reading proficient at the third grade level, we feel very, very good about where we're at here. We have 2 national blue ribbon schools and 1 national green ribbon school. We're a proud member of the Class 8 conference. We offer over 100 activities and athletic opportunities for our students. We've got strong safety plans in the district, thanks to Andy Wagner in the back, Tom Cardhauser up in the front here, and our partnership with our local law enforcement. We have a mill rate that is below the state average for the last 35 consecutive years. We have a AA bond rating from Standards & Poor, if you're not familiar with that. That's your credit score. So we're in a very favorable position from our debt position. And we've repeatedly passed taxpayer-friendly budgets. I'm going to pass it over to Tom. There's some conversations about the last referendum that we did, and I want to have Tom have an opportunity to take you through that.
All right, thanks, Dr. Cook. All right, so in 2016, our community passed a referendum revolving around Mukwonago High School. So in our opinion of what a referendum can do for a community, these pictures really tell the story, and we feel it's been really successful. In the upper left-hand corner, you can see how we expanded our cafeteria at Mukwonago High School. That cafeteria, before the referendum there, really limited the number of students that we could serve, and it prevented our students from having 8 classes in a semester or throughout a year. Our students were only taking 7 classes in a semester. So it's kind of funny how a cafeteria can really be a roadblock in an academic schedule, but that was our story at Mukwonago High School. And that referendum solved that problem for us. You can see the other space is the PAC, which is a widely popular community space. It's a space for our students, a lot of community groups here. In the bottom middle here, we have a picture of our career and technical education courses. We are a very proud school district that offers a very rich, robust career and technical education. You can see the West Gym, one of the most popular spaces throughout the entire community, not just for students, but at nights and on weekends. That space there is one of the most frequently used spaces, if not the most frequently used space in all of the Mukwonago area. So it's really kind of a very much a front porch to the entire community. We feel good about this project because whether our students want to be college bound to a four-year university where they're going to study math, science, biology, whatever that might be, if they want to go to the Marines, whether they want to go into a trade program, we are preparing our students in all those areas for life after high school. We think Mukwonago, this project in particular, help Mukwonago High School become a place that can allow for all those things to happen. The long-range facility study that we find ourselves in right now in 2024, this effort has really been going on here for almost 10 years right now. So going back in time in 2015, there was a big process where there's community feedback. We're in a community feedback session right now, so when you ask questions, we're listening, and these types of conversations really inform what a school district does. So it's not just the school board or myself and Dr. Cook who make decisions, it's all of us. And the conversations that we have with the community they're not quick, they're not short. We take the time to hear things, consider multiple angles, and you can see the timeline here of what it takes to ultimately move into a project and consider a project and then to move forward with it potentially with permission through a referendum. So in our long-range facility study, you can see here, after 2016, after the high school project, we kept the conversation going of all 8 buildings, which are community assets. The buildings belong to the entire community, and what the community wishes to do or not to do is ultimately up to the community members. So at the school board level, we talked about Parkview Middle School. This building is quite aged, and we're going to talk about that more specifically in the coming slides here. But that really emerged and rose to the top of what's the biggest need the district has right now. So as we went through that, we looked at all needs throughout the entire school district, all 8 buildings. We put all options on the table. Then we prioritized those options. We had 4 community focus groups last spring where we had about 50 to 75 community members attend those 4 meetings. We focused on those 4 meetings, the first at the elementary level, then the middle school, then the high school, and then we wrapped up all ideas, all priorities, and we took feedback and got feedback from the community. Once we got that feedback, then we had a community survey that was launched this past September and October. And we asked some questions on that survey to ultimately say, of all the people in the community, how do you feel about these ideas? I'm going to present that information for you on the next slide here. So that community-wide survey forages 4 key outcomes on that. 89% of the respondents there said that we are good or great at delivering high-quality education. And 89% is a good number, but we know there's also room for improvement, so we're going to continue to push that higher in the coming days, months, and years. When we asked about what our next plans are here, particularly around Parkview Middle School and the need there, when we presented the ideas you're about to hear, 65% of respondents said we support the district moving forward with the ideas that are presented. Once we attached the price tag to that project, 63% of respondents said we are still in support of this. Now, we're going to spend the most of the time talking about Parkview Middle School and 4K as a part of this presentation, but there's another question that we asked our community, and it revolved around Mukwonago High School, and we asked, do you want us to go even further and to double down, so to speak, in our career and technical education courses? And to do that, we would basically displace one gym to build a bigger autos program, a small engines program, and some other CTE courses. And as we displaced one gym, that second question also revolved around building a large multi-purpose indoor facility. And only 47% of our respondents voted in favor of that. So we listened to the community, and that second idea at Mukwonago High School is shelved. It's not moving forward at this time. But the middle school and the 4K continues on. So on April 2nd, we have the question here that's on the screen, and we're going to talk about what this all means as we go through the presentation. So as we go through this here, if you were in favor of what's being presented, you would vote yes, and if you were not in favor, you would vote no.
Just talk about the flip ballot.
Oh yeah, thank you, Clint here. So there's going to be a lot of choices here on the April 2nd voting day here. You may have to look on the flip side of your ballot to find that, so make sure you look on both sides so you don't miss anything as you vote on your ballots. All right, so let's talk about the need here. Parkview Middle School was built in 1954, so 70 years old. This building was originally created as Mukwonago Senior High School. All right, so as we are 7 years into this building, we have a lot of issues that are starting to emerge. This was built in a 1954, it was state-of-the-art in 1954, but that, it's been a long time that this building's been around. You can see our hallways are very congested, our classroom spaces are very tight. As I go through these various slides, these pictures tell the story here. It's really packed in through almost all of our academic classrooms. In our band areas, we don't have enough space to meet some of the demand that our students are looking for in these classes. So as you take a look at these pictures here, they really tell the story. Tight spaces, low ceilings. If you're inside of a music classroom, you want a higher ceiling because as that drops, it gets loud. Again, you can see our orchestra area there. We have the lift elevator there on the right just to demonstrate there that classroom isn't accessible for ADA purposes. So if you're in a wheelchair, we do have students in wheelchairs, you can't even access some of these spaces without that lift. Our gym spaces. As I said earlier, our gym spaces are some of the most frequently used spaces throughout the entire Mukwonago Area School District. Not just, again, for our staff and our students, but for our families, our community groups. They are always on demand. We currently have, we can't meet the demand of the community with our various gym spaces throughout the district. We have a fitness and training space. If you want us to take you on a short tour, we can do that, but we have a small fitness area with weights and machines that's in a classroom, and it's extremely tight. So really, we have physical education spaces that really could be expanded and updated. You can see the original gym there on the left-hand side when this building was originally created. Once upon a time, that was a great gym, and really, 7 years later, it has seen better days. We have special programs, outside of the regular core academic classes. So you're seeing a picture here of our family and consumer science course area, where really the state of these classrooms is such that it doesn't even really meet the needs of the curriculum right now. So these are just really dated spaces. The cafeteria where we are right now, again, this building was originally built 70 years ago. We have 750 to 800 students in here. There's only so many students that you can bring into a cafeteria at a time and adequately serve and keep lines moving along here. This is just really a small footprint for a cafeteria with the number of students that we have in this building. Our library, again, is full. It's congested, really has a lack of flexible space. If you're looking at a modern library like the Village Library here in Mukwonago, that's an example of what you would make if you're building a library today, that's what it would look like. This building and this space in particular is just really tight, has constraints, and it really just is what it is. And one thing you can't tell in this picture is that there's a skylight in there that likes to leak water quite often. So we should take a look at that because we took some rain here not too long ago to make sure everything's good. We have other specialty spaces for our career and technical education courses. Robotics is something we're very proud of in this district. We have Team 930, which competes at the high school level. That's internationally competitive, not just state competitive or nationally competitive, but internationally competitive. And that really starts at the middle school level. So some of the things that those kids learn in those spaces and their classroom spaces aren't really built to adequately provide a space where they can do what they're trying to do. Our kids can build robots that can shoot a basketball, where they take that, they go and compete in a competition, but they can't even really do that in the spaces that we have. They can make do, but a better space would be desired. From a safety perspective, this picture doesn't even really tell the story. This is a modest picture, but if you're driving by this school in the morning or afternoon during pickup or drop-off, it gets backed up. I saw it last week, backed up all the way and wrapped around on the Highway 83. So there's definitely a safety concern with the location of this building being so close to the intersection of 83 and NN. So when you take a look around Waukesha County, you're going to find that most school districts have their middle school configured with grades 6, 7, and 8, or 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're one of the last school districts in this area that offers grades 7 and 8 as just those two grades together. It is not advantageous or preferred to do 7 and 8 combined for a variety of reasons. Currently, right now, when our students, they come as 7th graders, one year they're coming, the next year they're going. Really not an opportunity for them to get to know the staff, to work with the staff, to work with the principals here. There's a better way to do that. The way that curriculum is taught, really, when you look at those grades, that working with grades 6, 7, and 8 in one building off one standard curriculum allows for those kids to learn better. So again, as we talk about the need here, one of the things that we talked about with our community focus groups last spring during those 4 meetings was we talked about, well, should we just renovate this building? Should we just keep it as it is, renovate certain spaces, and expand it for the 6th graders here? And when we presented the ideas and brought the financial information and the timeline and all the other things that went into it, the community focus group at that time said, if you're going to do this, we recommend that you build new, all right? It was 88, and I'll get to it right here. The estimated cost to renovate and expand this school was $85 million, which is 88% of the cost of building new. So the community focus group and those people that were present, and again, those were not just teachers or parents of students, it was a wide array of people throughout the community, with and without students in the district. And the feedback they said, again, was if you're going to do this project, then build new. All right, there's some, the rationale for that is on the screen. Remodeling would be difficult because of the current layout of the building, the load-bearing walls and their designs really can't be modified, so we're limited in what we can do. The renovation would take 1 year longer than just building new because you can really only work on the building when students aren't here. So in terms of, nights, weekends, summer, it's just really limited as to what you can do while students are here. And ultimately, leaving the building where it's at in its current location doesn't move it off the intersection, which ultimately is going to leave the same traffic issues indefinitely. Take a look at this building right now. Over the next 5 or so years, there's $7.3 million worth of work to keep this building moving forward. So this is really a good time to have the referendum question before we put money into it, and those are very significant dollars. This is the time to say, should we just keep the building as is and invest in the building and just keep it as is, or should we build new? Okay, as I just quickly go through some of the pictures on the exterior, as I said, the skylights in the library are kind of not in a great place here. I know it's a little difficult to see some of these pictures, but we have bricks on the exterior that are starting to fade. Top point is need to keep the exterior in decent working order. The floors and ceilings are starting to fail. Our major mechanical units, our HVAC units, our chillers, our boilers are at end of life. And we can keep them moving forward, but at some point it's going to require a complete pull out and install of new major equipment. Okay? So those are the needs of the high school. Then on this next slide here, I'll quickly go through the needs of 4K. So when we met with our community focus groups, the other theme that emerged was the need for 4K space. Okay? We are one of the last school districts to offer 4K, 4-year-old kindergarten. We started in 2015, and we were one of the last ones to the party there. Okay? So in terms of bringing 4K space in here, we have a need. We started with 6 community partners. We didn't have enough space in our elementary schools to have 4. I'm going to go back here. I'm sorry, I clicked ahead. We did not have enough space in our elementary schools to bring 4-year-old kindergarten in. So we took a community partners approach, and we had 6 community partners. And the 4-year-old kindergarten students would attend those spaces, attend school for 2.5 hours a day, and then have wraparound care before and after. Of those 6 partners we started with, we are down to 3. So for a variety of reasons, we really have to find a way to rely on ourselves potentially to continue to offer a 4-year-old kindergarten here. Okay, but we need the space to do that. So those are the needs.
And so after the process that Tom talked about and the multiple years of work, the solution that we're proposing to the community to address those needs is to create a new 6th through 8th grade middle school. It would be a building that had the capacity of 1,200 students, which would give us enough, it would be adequate for us where we're at now and provide some room for growth in the upcoming years. We'd be able to improve our classroom and lab spaces for our STEM courses, create flexible spaces for performances and student learning. We'd have a 3-court gymnasium with a larger fitness area. We'd have the proper separation, and I'll show you this in a minute, of pedestrian and vehicle and bus traffic on the site. We would have the ability to create a shared drop-off area between the middle school and Clarendon, so that if the desire was to take the buses off of Clarendon Avenue, we could put those in near proximity at the back of the middle school building. Our energy systems would be more efficient And then we'd be able to maintain the athletic facilities that we have on this property. We would have the athletic facilities, we would just have to move. So the football field, track, baseball fields, we'd be able to keep that on this site. And so this is the proposed site layout. So if you look up at the top left-hand corner, you can see a dashed line over here. This is the existing building. Obviously the corner of Veterans Way and Highway 83. What we're proposing to do is to move this into the large green space that is just out the window here towards Clarendon. We put the building up in the middle there. We'd have visitor and staff parking and parent drop-off in the front. Then in the back, and again, when you look at the entrances, it's down the road a little bit from that corner to alleviate a little bit of congestion. We would have our bus drop-off. And then just for a point of reference, you can see where Clarendon is and where our district office is. Again, the building and the parking would be closer there, and it would reduce the pressure on the intersection. We would also have that large green space then that would turn into the athletic fields that we currently have right next to us now. The benefits for our sixth graders would be academic exposure. We would be able to increase their world language opportunities, mathematics opportunities, the career and technical education, and again, the improved music opportunities for our students. And then the middle school to sixth grade students would have additional opportunities around co-curricular and extracurricular opportunities. The 4-year-old solution would get the 4K students into our buildings, provide stability for the families, partner the students with the neighborhood schools that they would be going to. So if you have elementary children right now and you maybe have to go to a community partner site and then go to the elementary building, it would be less frequent for families, more convenience in the area. And then we'd be able to reconfigure that Big Bend Elementary School traffic flow. And so we'll be going through a number of slides right now. The pickup area, if you're familiar with Big Bend in the morning and the afternoon, it's very congested on that corner there. We'd be able to reconfigure the parent area there again to pull the traffic away from the intersection, provide safety for pedestrians, for students having to cross the road, and then anybody coming through there their way to and from work or to the store in the evening. The next few slides, you'll see the building is in gray, and then the proposed renovated space is in blue. At Big Bend, we'd be looking at creating the 4-year-old kindergarten classrooms and then some flexible learning spaces. At Clarendon, we would be renovating some part in the middle of the building, which would be storage and special ed space, and then 4-year-old kindergarten and 5-year-old kindergarten classrooms. You'll notice on here that we have renovating locker rooms on a few of these slides. The elementary age students are not using the locker rooms as locker rooms. They're not using them as shower facilities. Right now it is storage space in the schools. At Rolling Hills, we'd be doing the 4K and 5K classroom. At Prairie View, 4K and 5K classrooms in the middle of the building. Similarly, at Section Elementary School, special ed classroom, and 4-year-old and 5-year-old kindergarten space. And I'll pass it back over to Tom to talk about the investment.
All right, so this is the last part here before we open it up to questions. So I'll talk about the investment and a few things about the district's financial position here. So school district finance really had a pivotal year in the 93-94 school year. And that year was the first year where school boards were given a limit as to how much money they had to work with on a per student basis, okay? And not all school districts are funded equally. So starting in the 93-94 school year, you can see here, Mukwonago, we were funded at a level of $5,320, which is last in Waukesha County. And as we fast forward about 30 years later to the last school year, which the last most recently completed full school year, we improved from last place to second last place at $10,016 per student. Okay, so if you take a look at Kettle Moraine, our neighbors to the north, fine school district, nothing bad to say there, but just to highlight the discrepancy, they have $12,383 per student. If you just take another comparison to a neighbor of ours, us and per student, we multiply that by the number of resident students in our district, which is 4,659 students, and that gave us an operating budget of $46.6 million. Comparing that to New Berlin, who gets about $1,659 more per student, multiplied by their number of students, they receive $3.7 million more dollars, despite having 300 less students than us. So what this is really just showing is that for over 30 years, our school district has been one of the least funded school districts throughout the state of Wisconsin. And this story is not just a one-year story, it's a 3-decade story. okay? Ultimately, when we talk about what is the tax rate then, the rate of taxation for school district purposes is defined by the mill rate, and the mill rate is the rate of taxation per $1,000 of a household's fair market value. So as we look at the approximately 30 or almost 40 area K-12 school districts in the southeast Wisconsin area, we are in the bottom 25% at $6.20. Had we not had any debt for Mukwonago High School, so if we did not do a referendum project 8 years ago, our $6.20 mill rate would have fallen down to $4.95, and we would have been the only school district under $5. So while we can all appreciate low taxes, the flip side of that is an extremely low investment. So there's two ways to think about that there, but at $6.20, we are still one of the lowest mill rates in southeastern Wisconsin. For the almost past 4 decades, so about 37 years now, we have been below the state average in terms of mill rate. So when you compare us to the average throughout the state, we've been below that number. Despite our low funding status, we have repeatedly produced balanced budgets. We as a school board and as those of us who work daily in the school district, we take great pride in making sure that we do things that our community can be proud of. We produce balanced budgets. We set money aside at the beginning of school years to maintain our buildings. And if we have money left over at the end of the year, we take that money and we set that aside to continue to maintain our buildings. Any liability that we're responsible for, we fund that liability as we go so we don't saddle school boards 10, 15, 20 years down the road with financial liabilities that we created today. So one example of that is our post-employment benefits that we offer to our teachers, to our new hires. So to get the best and brightest teachers, we do have to offer compensation that gets them here. But with those liabilities, we fund those, and we are almost 100% funded. In most school districts, heck, I'd say any school district would probably trade spots to be where we are right now. Despite our low funding, we've always done the right thing, especially when it comes to our long-term debt. So when we look at the debt associated with Mukwonago High School, we have refinanced that debt whenever possible. Our current interest rate on the debt we have for that is in the low 2% range. We have prepaid debt whenever possible. We paid off 1, 2, almost 3 years at a time in certain years, and we've shaved off $2.8 million in future interest costs by prepaying our debt early. If we were to table this conversation and not talk about a referendum or a new middle school, we would be on track to pay off our high school debt 10 years early. So that original debt taken out in 2016 was called for 20 years. That would be retired in 2036. We would have that paid off by about 2026 or 2027. So almost 10 years early. So the impact of this project calls for $102.3 million, which equates to a 69-cent increase on the mill rate. So in other words, for every $100,000 of a household's value, this would increase taxes by $69. So we have some values here on the screen that can help you kind of do the math for everybody's individual situation based on whatever their house might be valued at. So as we look at that here, our mill rate here at $6.20 is the lowest mill rate in our district's history here. So in the 23-24 school year, we've never had a lower mill rate here. Again, the mill rate by increasing 69 cents would take our mill rate next year to $6.89 if the referendum were to pass. So one of the questions, and we've added these next 2 slides here based on the questions we got. What's going to happen to our current debt? What's our current situation, in other words, here? Our mill rate here, for just our debt purposes, so just for the debt paying off Mukwonago High School, what's currently scheduled right now, we have a mill rate of $1.21. That was this current school year. That would slightly drop each of the next 3 school years, and then it would fall off. Again, we would have our debt paid off in about 3 years from now. If the referendum were to pass, you can see we'd go from $1.21 up to $1.90. There's the 69-cent increase, and then it would steady fall down from there for the next 20 years. So those are the 2 scenarios of what would happen with and without the referendum. Okay? So in terms of the $102.3 million, the vast majority of that would be dedicated to the the new middle school, the construction of the middle school, the site development, and then ultimately, once that building is ready, then we would remove this building and demolish it and have it gone. The other $5 million would then be used to renovate those 4K spaces in our elementary schools. So that's the distribution of where the $102.3 million would be invested. So if you really like this presentation and want to come back, there's another one on March 13th, so you can come back next week and we'll see you on Wednesday. So we'll continue to answer any questions and go from there. So that's our presentation for tonight. What can you answer for the room?
So, back there. So, I guess two ways. One, if you have questions you don't feel comfortable asking them in front of a group, please write them down, turn those in. Otherwise, we will take hands. I just ask that you speak loud so that we can hear you up here, please. One question.
So I have two different
Okay.
questions. The first thing that you all talked about was you had focus groups and then you had a community survey. How were they distributed? How did people get to know about them when you sent out?
So the focus groups were open invitation a year ago, last April into May.
So we advertise that. We send out a Triad community newsletter approximately 3 times each calendar year. And we sent that out, we advertised it in the Triad and invited the entire community to attend those.
And then the community survey.
I get that, but I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, and then the community survey, every address in our school district received a paper mailing with the community survey. And that could have been mailed in, or that could have been, there was a QR code where you could have participated on the line to take that survey.
My second question, and I could, maybe nobody else is interested, so I could just ask somebody afterwards, so just let me know if you'd rather just answer.
Nope, ask away,
It was
please.
about the curriculum for home economics that the current classrooms cannot address. And I was really interested to know what, can I see it? Is it here or is it in the high school?
It's here.
So you have, the current classrooms are here and will be open for a tour later.
Okay.
If you ever want to come and see what we did at MHS 4 years ago, 6 years ago,
What?
sorry, 6
I
years
just
ago.
wanted to know what.
You can see that where we're going, that with all of our career and tech ed programs.
That's for me.
Okay. You had the next one.
For the traffic patterns, what type of control are you going to have? For instance, for the driveway, are you going to have stoppable lights there too to get the buses in and out? It looks like the driveway is going to be kind of across from the condos. How are they going to do that traffic control? And was there a study on the traffic? Because I have been here on Wednesday afternoons when schools are letting out and you can't get through.
Yeah. So we will be bringing the traffic in, what would be behind the building, about, just ballparking it right now without having a tape measure, about 150 yards down the road. So that will take the pressure off the intersection. It'll be right turn in for our school buses into the back of the building. For parents, it would be right turn into the parking lot. So coming through and turning in, similar to what we have now, but pushed away from the intersection a ways. We would not, at this time, we're not looking at putting additional stoplights in ahead of where we have on the intersection here. But as we move it away, we're pulling all of the traffic away from that intersection, from the in and the out.
So I just to expand upon that here. So Clint Sellies from Ray Architects, he's been with us throughout this process. Clint, do you have something to add?
Yeah, so as we went through this process, even when we were looking at adding on to and renovating the existing school, we did reach out to a traffic impact analysis company to just run over a very early version of things. So this plan is very preliminary at this point, and we will conduct a traffic impact analysis with that, which will help provide recommendations for, turn lanes and all of those types of things. And again, we'll have to work very closely with the village and municipality to understand. So this is an idea we think kind of works, but there's still a lot more work ahead of us.
Because there's traffic sitting in the middle of the lanes.
Yeah.
Where when they're
We don't want that. We want to get rid of that. If everyone just rode the bus, we'd be in a better spot. Unfortunately, not everybody takes the bus.
So many people are getting.
Yeah, but we do want to remove that problem from the people that travel, in the cars out. So we recognize the safety hazard that's there. So
Yeah.
we hopefully can address that.
The safety and getting through, and emergency vehicles, how do they get through at that time of day if it's so congested?
Yeah.
Did you look at other sites?
Yes, we looked at other sites. With the way that we have 2 flights of busing. So in most school districts, they're going to either have 2 flights or 3 flights of busing. We have 2 flights, so the early morning departs our terminals around 6:15 in the morning, and they go pick up grade 7th and 8th grade for this building and the high school on the same flight. And then after they're done with that, then they go pick up our elementary students. Because we're picking up the middle school and high school on the same bus, we have about 30 routes, but on those 30 routes, those buses have middle school and high school kids. Once they drop off students at the middle school, and then they have to go to the high school, the middle school and high school have to be in close proximity. It wouldn't work if we had one of our schools in Big Bend, or if we built it in North Prairie. It needs to be centrally located near the high school, so we did look up at land along Highway 83 to the north, some other properties as well. Ultimately, there was a lot of thought that went into that, and ultimately staying here made the most sense since we already own the land and the investment's already been made.
Okay, so then if you ever have to extend Clarendon in any way, that's really landlocked now.
So we took a look at that in terms of a long-range population study to say where are we going, like what's our best guess as to what the Mukwonago area, the municipalities within our school district, where might we be? And we looked out to the year 2035 and we projected all the various potential neighborhoods, when you take a look at the farmlands and what our developers looking at, what our municipality and village planners looking at, taking in all that information, that with the projected growth, we feel that the solution we're proposing here would alleviate the elementary schools by moving 6th grade out and moving 4K in. That we would be in a good spot, and this would be a decades-long solution. So we feel that this would address that. If we had, like you said, what if we had to expand Clarendon? We feel that we'd be in a spot where we'd be able to manage everything. We might have to, as a last resort, but a potential move we can make is to draw our school attendance boundaries so that we can balance up. Now, we don't like to do that because that disrupts families a lot, so we would only do that as a last resort, but we think we would be fine.
How many surveys came back?
Over 3,100, so about 400 more than what we had from the high school era survey. Yes.
What school year would this take place? It's assuming this would go through.
We would be opening the building in the 27-28 school year. So we would, if it passes, we would be using about a 12-month period of time for design, layout, bidding, and then sometime, I believe it was in the spring, if I'm remembering, I'm looking at you, Clint, about the spring of 25, we would then be looking at breaking ground and then beginning the work.
So then with that, with the proposed new school, all of that would get built first, and then this would be demolished.
Yep.
Yeah, so our goal would be not to disrupt learning,
Right.
both at the elementary projects and the middle school project. The elementaries would be done over the course of the summers. The middle school would be done separate from what we're doing here at Parkview from an academic standpoint.
And so would the elementary, would that kind of be done in conjunction with all of this, or this would be the first focus, and then you guys would do the elementary?
The elementary would have to come after the middle school to free up the 6th grade space.
Okay, and then the elementary, the work that would be done there is renovating, it's not
Yeah.
add-ons.
We are not expanding our elementary
Right.
schools. We're simply taking the space we currently have and making it work for what our needs are. And that's, again, to just bring 4K in. So with 3 6th grade classes vacated, with 6th graders moving out, we would turn those 3 spaces into 2 4-year-old kindergarten spaces with bathrooms.
Okay, so you have to have this, yeah. Okay.
When they talked about resident enrollment, and you talked about growth, what do they project it? Do they project it to grow? Because
By
the last
300
time we were sitting in something like this, it has gone down over 5, probably close to 1,000 students in the district.
So our current average, we are in the ballpark of 5,000 students, give or take, and that fluctuates over time.
I was just reading,
What's that?
went off of what your thing said. Your thing said 4,659.
That's in terms of resident students. Yep, resident students. We have a number of students that open enroll in from other school districts. Now, we don't make decisions for those students. When we have a class that can accommodate 28 students and we have 5 desks that are vacant, you know, all the costs are paid. The teachers paid for the lights. We have a lot of fixed costs. And when an open enroll student comes from, say, East Troy or Palmyra Eagle, those students ultimately have revenue that comes with them. So rather than letting a chair sit vacant, we allocate some of those chairs for open enroll students. And then that, as a low revenue school district, those open enrollment funds that come with those students help our position.
Don, just
yes.
real quick, we lose about 300 kids every year in open enrollment, and
Yep.
we gain about 650, correct?
600, yep.
600.
Yep.
You want to make sure you're doing it for the residents.
We are doing, the decisions we're making is for the residents, correct?
And
It's
this
not,
is, the enrollment still, even with your open enrollment, is still down about 500 students from about 2010.
no, I don't think we're down 500. I don't think we were ever at 5,500 students. I think 5,100 students is our high water mark, and we're,
I'll be back next week.
Okay.
I think it was 57.
okay. I don't think that we were ever as high as 5,500 students. So the projected growth is 350 students by the year 2035.
Resident and non-resident.
Resident students only.
What did you say, 325 by when?
325 to 350 students by 2035. We have a presentation on our website that I'll share with you before you go tonight, so you can see where that math comes from. Yes.
What are you going to do with the contents of this school? Is it going to go over to the new school, or are you just going to?
So like, there's certainly a lot of usable furniture in this building that we would certainly use everything that we could possibly use and move that over there. We'd be as efficient as possible. Sometimes when we have current equipment that just is old, we put it on an auction site and we sell that each year. And yeah, we would be, if there's any pipes that we can recycle, we would be as efficient as possible with any contents in this building.
Just wondering, because I know that when Franklin was doing theirs, they just threw out all of the contents.
Okay.
You know, if I'm going to vote for the referendum, I really care about improving academic achievement. So since we did do a lot of investment in the high school, I'm curious about the academic achievement that has been gained since that referendum. Can you give us background on maybe school report card grades and how they translated into success since that time?
So where we've experienced a lot of success at the high school is in our career technical education enrollment. So our work around CTE, our numbers doubled or tripled.
Yeah.
And since the building opened, the renovated building.
Yeah, the number of students that are graduating with industry certified recognition, I can't give you the number, and I apologize for that, but I can get you that tomorrow if you give me your email. But the number of students that were graduating in our career and technical education programs is massive. It's huge. We are currently, we partner with the Muskegon Norway School District, and we co-op with them on certain programs because of the strength of what we both do. We feel that we're at the forefront of everybody in the entire state of Wisconsin. So we feel that we're doing one of the best jobs that there is in that area.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I would like to get the exact numbers.
Okay. Let me just get your contact info and I'll get that to you here. Dustin Lehman is our career and technical education coordinator. He's not here tonight, but he's the one who has the answer to the question you have right here.
There are a handful of things that we are doing at NHS though to address academic achievement. We're placing weight on AP courses. We are putting in a new high school schedule going into next year that is going to increase the number of instructional minutes by 3 weeks per semester per class. So we're going to be adding to that. And we're doing a lot of work around preparation for the ACT, how to take the test, what type of content knowledge you need. So there are steps that we're taking right now to continue to improve where MHS is at academically, while also providing that comprehensive CTE experience that our kids want, our industry needs, and our families value.
Do you want to mention Wednesdays?
Yes, so we had a schedule that had early release every Wednesday, 1 hour early release at the elementary and the secondary. And our calendar and our schedules next year will no longer include early release on this. So that time is going to be allocated back into the instructional program next year.
Good questions. What else?
So when you demolish the old school, how long will it take to get the fields and everything back into place then?
I say a lot of that's going to depend on the weather, but it will take us several months to demolish and then get the site improvements in place. And I would say, Clint, you probably have more experience on the site development, or Jason, about how long does it get the site fully prepared where it's usable for play and athletics?
I mean, so if we're planning for this to be complete for September of '27, it'll probably be that next spring period when that will be kind of playable. But again, we'll be able, given the location of things, we'll be able to get the parking lots and everything, in place here. And then, we'll just be at the mercy of everything going well with regard to the rest of the development and demolition.
And is there going to be parking added in that area too, or is it all going to be in the visitor staffing?
We may need some parking for, again, there is a plan for potentially a baseball field of some sort to the west or to the left of that track that shows up there. So there may need to be some parking that is more on that lower left-hand side, but again, there's a lot of work yet to work through the details of this, but.
Yeah, we recognize the need of parking that this building provides for all things at Field Park, and Field Park's popular. I go there a lot with my family. Maxwell Street Days is the favorite of my sons, so we go. So we know that parking is going to be needed. We'll cross that bridge soon.
You said the slide said there's energy efficient systems and natural lighting, and then there's school. Is there going to be any renewable energy, or?
I don't know that we have that part figured out quite yet. That's kind of a decision that we cross later on at the referendum. So we did, when we did Mukwonago High School, we originally did not have any renewable energy in the original plans, but those at the end product, there was renewable energy that was added. Andy Wagner's our buildings and grounds manager. He's in the back. Andy, what do we have at Mukwonago High School right now?
300 kW array at high school.
Okay.
So this time of the year, sunlight's a lot lower and that we're making maybe 30 kW in the month, but in the summertime, we're achieving a lot more, and it does help us offset our peak demand in the school.
So we don't have those plans yet, but if this referendum were to pass, and we can start moving on and progressing into plans and have that conversation. And we're certainly open to it. We don't have every detail figured out at this point, but that's one decision we know we have to make eventually.
If this doesn't pass, then what? Nothing? Like.
Well, the community decides.
No,
So
that's why I'm
ultimately,
just curious. If
what-
it doesn't, what does that, it means we're at a standstill and we just have to continue with. what
So
we're
we
doing.
would,
Is that-
if it didn't, we would go and seek feedback as to why, and then take a look at what needed to be done after that. But we have our plan. The plan is, designed, not designed fully, but, in theory, it's there for us to propose, and it is what our need is. You can't stress enough, we had that slide on there with the timeline that went back to 2015 when we considered high school. Sorry. The amount of work that went into getting us to today, to the survey that we did in the fall, was substantial. And so there were multiple iterations, there was visioning that was done with school staff, there were ideas presented to the community group. That led us to a question to say, hey, are we okay to ask you guys again? That was the survey, and then that led us to meet here tonight. So we feel confident in what we're proposing. We just now need to obviously see if it's something the community supports. Other questions? Okay.
So if you have anything else that you want to ask, Dr. Cook and I will stay up here. If you want to approach us, we'll give you an answer. If anybody's interested in a tour, we have our school administration here that can walk everybody around and see the spaces. So with that, you're free to move about. Thank you for coming, everybody. We
Thank you.
appreciate being here.